It is not fair. Emory Hunt decodes Brown's decision on Shedeur Sanders despite 0 first-team reps. The Cleveland Browns have been consistently inconsistent when it comes to the quarterback position. And, even though they now have 4 active quarterbacks on the roster, that still appears to be the case, especially when it comes to the handling of Shedeur Sanders. Despite listing him as the QB4 on the depth chart and sidelining him from training camp with shoulder and arm soreness, the Browns have announced that the former Colorado QB will indeed be their starting quarterback for their preseason debut against the Carolina Panthers on August 8th. Sanders has been deprived of first-team reps all throughout the offseason as Cleveland has chosen to prioritize quite literally any other quarterback who is on the roster ahead of him. According to the founder and owner of Football Game Plan, Emory Hunt, however, Sanders will simply have to make do with what he has right now. It's not fair, Hunt suggested, but this is football. At the end of the day, you get what you asked for, so get it because you asked for it. You never know when those opportunities are going to come as a football player. And if you're Shedeur Sanders and you've been trying to impress enough to where you can earn those first-team reps or second-team reps, well, here's a grand opportunity on a national stage to show not only why you've earned those reps, but to be really in contention for QB1, Hunt said. Much like the majority of football fans across the nation, Hunt is also of the opinion that the second-generation athlete is undoubtedly the most talented one in the room. Nevertheless, Sanders is now being treated as a 144th overall pick rather than the potential franchise hero that he was initially heralded to be. However, Hunt suggests that none of that matters now. All that remains is the task at hand, and that is what he is imploring Sanders to focus on. It may not have been how you wanted it to arrive, but hey, you're here. Now, take full advantage of that opportunity. Seeing as Carolina has voiced their intentions to field their starters for at least the first few series of the contest, it stands to reason that Friday's result will likely have a lasting impact on Sanders' position in the quarterback race. Both fans and coaching staffs alike will finally have the opportunity to see what the 23-year-old will look like while standing inside of an NFL pocket and throwing against first-team defenders. And for better or worse, it will likely be the spark that ignites whichever narrative will follow him for the duration of his rookie season. Even though he has yet to actually play in the NFL, Sanders has already managed to become one of the most polarizing figures in the league today without even trying. Now that he's finally being given an opportunity, all there's left to do is sit back and wait on the results. Emory Hunt sat in the bright studio lights, arms crossed, the ticker beneath his chair flashing, NFL Training Camp Live. Cameras rolled, but his focus wasn't on the lens. It was on the absurdity of what he'd just seen. Or rather, what he hadn't seen. "Let me say this clearly," he began, voice low but loaded with frustration. "It is not fair." The panel turned toward him. Analysts shuffled papers. One even chuckled. Emory didn't. "Shedeur Sanders," he continued, "just got buried on the Cleveland Browns depth chart, and the kid hasn't had one single rep with the first team all camp. Not one. You explain to me how that's fair." In Berea, Ohio, Shedeur Sanders kept his helmet low and his eyes lower. The buzz was all around him, flashing cameras, reporters whispering, Joe Flacco lobbing deep balls in team drills while Kenny Pickett barked cadences. And Shedeur? He was throwing checkdowns to fourth-string tight ends. Again, the coaches said the right things. He's learning. He's adjusting to the speed. We're evaluating everyone. But evaluating, without opportunity, felt more like exile. He wasn't perfect in camp, sure. A few overthrows. Some rushed reads. But wasn't that exactly what rookies were supposed to go through? Weren't reps the currency of development? And yet, every morning the depth chart was taped up on the locker room wall, and every morning his name sat below Flacco, Pickett, and even Dylan Gabriel. The same Gabriel who'd been signed weeks after him. The same Gabriel who'd already had red zone snaps with the starters. Back in the studio, Emory was just getting started. "They tell us it's a meritocracy, right?" he said, turning to the camera. "You work, you earn, you rise. That's the NFL. But when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, something don't smell right." He pointed to the screen where Shedeur's stats from Colorado scrolled by. 4,000 plus yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 picks. Clutch throws. Leadership. Poise. And yes, a last name that shook headlines. They say it's not about Dion, that they're treating him like any rookie. But I've covered this league too long to ignore patterns. This ain't just about football. This is politics, optics, legacy baggage. The studio went quiet. Shedeur sat alone in the film room that night, rewinding plays not even from practice, just old Colorado film. Trying to find himself in those clips. Trying to remember that quarterback, that leader, that fire. In Cleveland, that fire was caged. Smothered. He wasn't asking for special treatment. Just a chance. A real chance. One day with the first team. One set of downs. One moment to prove the field looked the same no matter who stood next to him. But no. Flacco was the wise old mentor. Pickett was the former first-rounder. Gabriel was the scrappy underdog. And Shedeur? He was Dion's kid. That's what they saw. The next morning, the media buzzed with Emory Hunt's segment. Fans lit up social media. Shedeur getting done dirty. Why no first-team reps? What's Stefanski hiding? Emory's right. This feels like a setup. Still, Stefanski kept the script tight. Competition brings out the best in everyone, he said. We're sticking to the plan. But no one could explain what the plan was. And Shedeur? He went back to work. Throw. Hustle. Study. Repeat. No complaints. Just quiet fury. On day 14 of camp, something changed. Not in the depth chart. Not in the reps. In Shedeur. During warm-ups, Flacco made a joke about Coach Prime showing up in a gold suit. The quarterbacks laughed. Even Gabriel cracked a grin. But Shedeur didn't. He walked away. Calmly. Silently. Straight to the scout team huddle. His throws that day came with venom. Tight spirals. Quick reads. He threw a 40-yard laser past a backup safety that had the defense jawing. Pickett watched from across the field. Flacco stopped mid-chat with a coach. Even Gabriel's helmet tilted. Someone whispered, "That's the Sanders edge." Still no promotion. Later that evening, Emory Hunt returned to the airwaves. "Let me tell y'all what I heard," he said, voice sharp. "There are coaches on that Browns staff who believe Shedeur's floor is already higher than Pickett's. But they're scared." "Scared of what?" a host asked. "Of the backlash. Of playing a rookie before the vets. Of dealing with the nepotism, headlines if Shedeur shines too bright, too fast. They're treating him like a PR bomb instead of a QB1. And there it was. The truth no one wanted to say out loud.